Thus, there are 11 marks on her left foot. At the base of the large toe of her right foot is a conch shell, and below that a spear. At the base of the small toe of her right foot is a sacrificial altar. Below that, an earring, and below the earring, a club. Along the base of the second, third, and fourth and small toes is the mark of a mountain, below which is a chariot, and on the heel is a fish. Thus, all together, there are 19 distinguishing marks on the soles of Srimati Radharani's lotus feet. Okay, so I'll again read the translation. Certainly, this particular gopi has perfectly worshipped the all-powerful personality of Godhead, Govinda, since he was so pleased with her that he abandoned the rest of us and brought her to a secluded place. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Nyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadanti Swapadantikam Vandegam Sri Guru Sri Yudapada Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Sri Rupam Sagarjatam Salna Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sagitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Mancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patithanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So I'll take blessings from all the Vaishnavas. Many senior Vaishnavas are there in our congregation. With all the blessings, I try to speak something about this verse, and especially the topic of Srimati Radharani is very exalted, and I know I don't have any qualification, neither knowledge nor realization on these matters, but I just try to simply repeat what I heard from my Guru Maharaj's class, so that it will be an offering of glorification to Srimati Radharani, and also glorification of Guru Maharaj, the way he explains the Leela of Srimati Radharani's pastimes is really very, very touching, and it's very captivating. All the senses gets captivated the way he explains. So I'll just try to repeat. It may not be a justification to be the way Maharaj might explain, but the way I could try to just repeat it in my whatever realization I have, I could say that. So this verse was spoken by the other gopis. They say that Krishna is so attracted to one gopi. So Sukadeva Goswami actually doesn't name the gopi in this verse. He just says one who perfectly worships Krishna. That gopi means the gopi who perfectly worshipped Krishna, the all-powerful personality of Godhead, Govinda. And since he was so pleased that he abandoned the rest of us and rest of the gopis and brought her to a secluded place. So if you know, first you can see about Sukadeva Goswami's background. So Sukadeva Goswami is actually a pet parrot in spiritual world in Golok Vrindavan of Srimati Radharani, and Sukadeva Goswami devotedly sits on the hand of Srimati Radharani and is very dear to Srimati Radharani. He was fed with pomegranate seeds and easily taken care. And Srimati Radharani would request Sukadeva. He's called Sri Sukha in the spiritual world, and Shri is for Srimati Radharani. Shri is Shuka, the Shuka parrot. And Srimati Radharani would request Shuka to sing the names of Krishna, and Shuka would sing it very sweetly, and that would really mesmerize Srimati so much. And she would be really affectionate to Shuka because of his the way he would recite Krishna's name. And at one point, Shuka left Srimati's place in Varshana and goes to Nandagram, and he sees the Lord Krishna playing with his gopas, and Lord Krishna is very immersed in his playful mood. He's very immersed with the playing with the gopas, and at one point he was hearing someone very sweetly singing his names, and he was turned, who is that? He wanted to check who is that, and he turns back and sees Shukha on the top of a tree, and then he found some, oh, who is this wonderful parrot singing my name so sweetly. Then Sukha enters into Krishna's house, and then they were actually having some conversation. And Sukha used to say that, alas, I have left the wonderful, careful and wonderful care of my mistress. I really miss that. And I really miss those affectionate dealings of my Srimati Radharani. And I would like to always be in the association of Srimati and also yourself, because you are very dear to Srimati. So the point is that we Gaudiya Vaishnavas, even Srila Prabhupada says, I will be also explaining in the forthcoming pastimes. Prabhupada also used to say, we Gaudiya Vaishnavas are more concerned with Srimati Radharani than Sri Krishna himself. That is little not comprehensible to the outside people, but so we are more concerned with Srimati. So the upcoming festival of Radhashtami is actually more more dear to us than the even Janmashtami. So this that's why these verses and maybe few classes I can share. These Radhashtami classes, and when we prepare the mood for the Radhashtami, then it will be can dive deeper into the mellows of Srimati's glories. Then Sri Sukha is to say that when you guys, when Krishna and my Srimati finish the earthly pastimes, and when we go back to the Goloka Vrindavan, please take me back. Then Sri Krishna used to say, no, you need to stay back because you have a very important duty to perform, and that is reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. So that means you need to stay back. Then when the pastimes of Lord Krishna ended, and when Srimati and Lord Krishna went back, Shuka stayed back here as per the request of Lord Krishna. And then at one point when Srila Vyasadeva was having some philosophical conversation with his wife, especially generally women are not more inclined into philosophies. So Vyasadeva's wife was yawning a bit, and she was opening her mouth, and Shuka directly went into her mouth and entered her womb. And there Shuka stayed for 16 years in her womb. So that is because Shuka doesn't want to come out and face the material world. He was really afraid because he doesn't have the company of his beloved Srimati and Lord Sri Krishna. So then he was there in the womb of his mother for 16 years, and Vyasadeva used to recite all the Vedas, not only from this earthly planet, but also from all the other planetary systems. And finally, he also used to recite Srimad Bhagavatam. And Sukadeva Goswami, inside the womb, he really relished all the pastimes of Lord Sri Krishna, and he really was very, very, even inside the womb, he was very much, enthusiastic to hear about Lord Sri Krishna's pastimes. But still, he doesn't want to come out. So then, Vyasadeva used to ask Lord Sri Krishna, to come and request him to come out. And then when Shukadeva Goswami comes out, he immediately leaves the house and takes sannyas. So basically, Vyasadeva knew this. He's a three-kala gyan, so he knew what is going to happen and all the past, present, and future. And he knows that this is going to happen. But still, as a fatherly affection, he doesn't want to miss his son. So he calls earnestly, Shukadeva Goswami, please come, please come. But he leaves the house and he wanders naked. And as the nature of this material world, people take him in a very different way, and they abuse him and they mistreat him. But Shukadeva Goswami, since he's transcendental to all the material things, he actually doesn't regard much of this, and he wanders and he enters into the assembly of the assembled great sages, where he is going to speak Srimad Bhagavatam to Maharaj Parikshit, as Maharaj Parikshit is in one of the crossroads of his life, where he is being cursed by Brahmin son Shringi to be bitten by the Takshak snake and to die in 7 days. So he had only 7 days to live, and within that he wanted to absorb himself of Krishna Katha. So they all decided that Srila Shukadeva Goswami should be giving the class. So why is that so? Because there are a lot of learned sages, even Narada Muni, and also even Srila Vyasadeva was present in the assembly. But when Shukadeva Goswami enters, everyone stands up. Even Narada Muni stands up. Even Srila Vyasadeva, his father, stands up, which is not a norm in the normal Vedic culture. But this is because of this position of Sri Sukadeva Goswami. Sukadeva Goswami is the servant of the devotees, servant of the maid servant of the devotees of Srimati Radharani. So His Holiness Varsana Swami says that this is the highest aspiration of Gaudiya Vaishnavas. That means we wanted to be the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of the lords. So since he is the servant of the devotees, of the maid servant of the Srimati Radharani, because of that, he has gained a lot in spiritual realization and knowledge, and it exceeds everyone present in the assembly. So that's why he's been qualified to speak in the assembly of the Vaishnavas. And then Sukadeva Goswami starts to elaborate about the spiritual matters and the need for detachment from the material conception of life, and how to get into the spiritual realization and spiritual knowledge, and how to advance. And he is explaining them in a systematic fashion from Canto 1, which is the feet of the Lord Krishna, to Canto 10, which is the face of Lord Krishna, which kind of show which is considered to be the face of Lord Krishna, which all the pastimes, all the interesting pastimes. So the face is the index of the mind, and it shows all your expressions. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10 gives you all the pastimes of Lord Krishna, which you can immerse yourself. But to reach there, we need to go from the first canto, second canto, like that. We need to go in a very sequential manner. So that way, Sri Gurudev Goswami was speaking all this spiritual knowledge to Maharaj Parikshit. And at one point, he reached the epitome where he was talking about very close pastimes of Lord Krishna with the gopis, and especially the rasa dance. And actually, these topics are very highly elevated. And as a beginning sadhaka like me, I don't have any qualification. Even Srila Prabhupada, once he was staying in a very wealthy man's house in India, and the man was asking Srila Prabhupada, please explain me more and share more about the rasa dance. So Srila Prabhupada, first time he said, he just changed the topic and he was explaining something else. And the person, again, he asked Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, can you please give some discussion, and can you explain more on the rasa dance and the more about the pastimes of Lord Krishna of the gopis? And Srila Prabhupada, again, he tried to change the topic, and he tried to explain some related stuffs. But the person again insisted third time firmly that this time we really wanted to talk mainly about the rasa dance and the dealings of Krishna of the gopis. Then Srila Prabhupada said back that, you see, actually I don't have any qualification to talk about that, and I'm not that much elevated to do so. So Srila Prabhupada is actually, he's very elevated, but he knows where we all stand. And if you don't have the proper disposition, and if you don't have the proper knowledge, and if you don't have the proper attitude, then we take all these things in a mundane way, and that will actually affect our bhakti. So we should be careful enough to go through these topics only when we have gone through all the other cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam, so that we'll get the background and the necessary attitude to see these things in a spiritual way. Then Srila Sukadeva Goswami, when he has come to this topic, he wanted to say and talk about the gopis. And at one point, as this verse says, he mentions, he wanted to mention Srimati Radharani, but he doesn't wanted to take her name. So that is because when as we all know, Sri Sukha is, as Sukadeva Goswami is very much attached to his mistress, to Srimati Radharani. So he is very much, he's very emotionally attached that way that if he talks about her glories, and if he talks about even her name, then he goes internal, and he is totally oblivious of the external bodily sensation for at least 6 months. And so, since our Maharaj Parikshit only had 7 days to live, he cannot, Sukadeva Goswami cannot finish Srimad Bhagavatam, and he cannot say everything what he is meant to say to Parikshit Maharaj. So that's why he's trying to avoid to say the name of Srimati Radharani, and he says indirectly that he has as another gopi. He doesn't say the name of Srimati Radharani. So that way, Sukadeva Goswami actually is very much immersed in Srimati Radharani's service, and in the pastimes of Srimati with Krishna. In that way, he's so much immersed. And then after that, he immediately changes the topic, because if he delves more, then he might need to, he might go into trance. So he wanted to avoid it, and he just tries to change the topic, and he goes into other topics, and he explains Parikshit Maharaj. So this way, this gives a background of this verse. And I just also wanted to talk, since it is Radharani's appearance is coming very soon, we wanted to talk more about the glories of Srimati Radharani. And in this lecture, I also heard a very nice point Maharaj made. We have a lot of scriptures which talks about Lord Krishna's pastime, and there are a lot of Puranas, and where it talks about Lord Krishna or Vishnu's qualities and pastimes. But Srimad Bhagavatam is the real need of Srimad Bhagavatam is to reveal the glories of Gopi's love. So that is the real need of Srimad Bhagavatam. And also, it also establishes the position of Srimati Radharani as the topmost Gopi. So these 2 points are the main differentiation of Srimad Bhagavatam from the other Puranas, where even though other pastimes are described, but here it focuses on, or it gives more importance to the love of gopis with the Krishna and Srimad Radharani's position. So we need to also understand the importance of discussing about Srimad Radharani and about taking shelter of Srimad Radharani, because without the permission and without the mercy of the mother, we cannot reach the father's hand, or we cannot reach father's heart. So in that way, the upcoming festival will be a wonderful opportunity for us to dive deep and also to take all the necessary measures we can at our disposal to please Srimati Radharani in whatever way possible. And then Maharaj also talks about Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Gitavali poem, where he wrote 9 songs in praise of Srimati Radharani. It begins with one of first one. I could read the translation like that. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that he who has failed to very carefully worship the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani, which are the abode of all auspiciousness, who has failed to take shelter in the transcendental abode filled with cognizant jewels and gems, decorated with the beautiful lotus named Radha, and who has failed to associate with Srimati Radharani, who are exceedingly wise and whose devotion to her is profoundly deep. How could such a person enter deep into transcendental mellows? Try to understand this. So that's what Bhaktivinoda Thakur says. So unless we take shelter of Srimati Radharani's lotus feet and dive deep into her, into the service of Srimati Radharani, we cannot actually get more realization or more deep into bhakti. So this is what Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says. And at the conclusion of that 9 poem, he says that abandoning wealth, followers, wife, children, home, position, intellectual pursuits, academic pleasures, I take exclusive shelter in the dust of the feet of Srimati Radharani. This is Bhaktivinoda's solemn declaration. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that there is nothing else is more important than taking shelter of Srimati Radharani, and this is the one and only path and one and only way to achieve higher transcendental realization, and the real path opens up for us who are sadhakas in the line of Gaudiya Vaishnavas to go deeper and to go closer to our lordships is through Srimati Radharani and with her mercy and grace. So we can now know the importance of the upcoming festival and what are the things we could do to take shelter. And we all know that Srila Prabhupada's father is a very exalted devotee. Prabhupada also acknowledges and he gives thanks to his father in the Krishna book, where he says his father has given him taught him about devotional service at a young age and gave the Radha Krishna Vigraha to worship, and also Ratha Yatra functions to celebrate Ratha Yatra. So that way he has raised Abhay Charan like Srila Prabhupada in a more Krishna conscious way, and he thanked his father. And if you see in the life of Gaur Mohan De, he used to always invite a lot of sadhus to his house. And Srila Prabhupada says that most of the sadhus actually are of some questionable characters, but still his father Gaur Mohan De doesn't distinguish between them. And he used to feed them very nicely. And at the end of the feast, he would only ask one request. He would ask that May he please, everyone, please bless my son so that he may be the recipient of Srimati Radharani's blessings and Radharani's favor. So that is the only reciprocation his father asked from those sadhus. And also, he used to request them, may he become an empowered preacher of Srimad Bhagavatam. So because of all these endeavors of his father, and by mercy of Srimad Radharani, and since Srila Prabhupada is also a Sanavati Bhakta, he is able to preach all over the world about Srimad Bhagavatam in all the corners of the globe. So it's very important to see how his father gave the focus on Srimad Radharani's mercy, obtaining Radharani's mercy. And Srila Prabhupada also many times in his writings has said about the importance of Srimad Radharani, and one of the cases is in his diary when he was coming to US for preaching the cult of Srimad Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement. He was writing that he was having many heart attacks, I think 2 heart attacks, and at the end of that, he was having a dream where he saw all the lords are carrying the ship, the ship, and they are rowing the ship and carrying it in such a way that it is not having a lot of turbulence. So Srila Prabhupada writes that now the sea seems to be calm and my appetite is back, and I'm feeling a little hungry, and I'm having some little strength. I have some khichdi, I have cooked some khichdi, but still my mind is in Vrindavan. I have a deep separation from Vrindavan. And even though I'm separated, my inspiration and strength is from Chaitanya Charitamrita. So I'm getting the nectar from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Then the next day is the Janmashtami function, and Srila Prabhupada celebrates with the captain and his wife in the Jaladuta ship. And the next day is Vyasa Puja, which is not observed. And then the next entry in the diary is on the Radhashtami, and that is a very nice entry Srila Prabhupada puts in his diary. He says, I emphatically say unto you, O brothers, you will obtain your good fortune from the Supreme Lord Krishna only when Srimad Radharani is pleased with you. So here also Srila Prabhupada says that your good fortune, as you know, Radharani is is a lot of fortune. So only we will get the good fortune from Supreme Lord Krishna only when Srimad Radharani is pleased with you. So we need to see how and what are the things, what are the ways Srimad Radharani can be pleased. So for that we need to know what Srimad Radharani likes and what she doesn't like. So that way we can see what pleases Srimad Radharani, and we can take some of those points and we can do. And especially we all know Srimad Radharani is very much attached to Krishna. So we can serve Krishna in a way that we can say that we can do it in such a way that this is an offering from Srimad Radharani, and we can serve all those, we can serve Krishna by doing things as an offering to Srimad Radharani. That way Sri Krishna will be pleased, and that internally will please Srimad Radharani. So it's kind of a loop. That is one of the entries what Srila Prabhupada has put in his diary. And in one of the Radhashtami festivals in 1966 in Montreal, Srila Prabhupada says that our business is actually serving and worshipping Sri Radha, and Krishna is actually Radha's property, and we need to take care of Krishna very nicely so that pleases Radha. And also don't worship Krishna directly. If you are actually trying to worship Krishna directly, then he says you are a loser. So why he is loser? Because we don't have any qualification to directly approach Krishna because of all our current conditionings. We cannot approach Krishna in a direct fashion, and we don't have that qualification. But when we take the route of Srimati Radharani, when we go through Srimati Radharani's grace and blessings, then we can easily approach Krishna. And in this pastime of Radhashtami function in Montreal, Srila Prabhupada also explained this whole philosophy. He says that if you place a flower on the hand of Sri Krishna, that may not be totally pleasing to the Krishna in a direct sense. But when you give it to Radharani to offer to Krishna, then Radharani says that, see, Krishna, a devotee has come to offer this flower to you, and this devotee is actually very highly elevated than me. So please accept it. So when we go through the recommendation of Srimati Radharani, then Krishna actually has to accept it. He cannot even reject it. He has to accept, because Srimati Radharani is the topmost devotee of Krishna, and he has to just accept it. And this is the very short cut and the easiest way for us to reach Krishna. And that's what Srila Prabhupada explained to the devotees and the Radhashtami function in 1966. Srila Prabhupada actually, in all his writings and in his lectures, he gives the most essence and also the simplest process for us to reach the lordships and to reach the spiritual world. So we just need to take that and execute it instead of trying to speculate it and do in our own way. And so I would like to request everyone to take shelter of Srimati Radharani by taking shelter of Srila Prabhupada books. I would like to say this to myself first, but I just wanted to emphasize this point. And in addition to that, there are some pastimes of Srimati Radharani which are related with the 6 Goswamis, which is explained by Guru Maharaj. And I could explain a couple of them. Srila Rupa Goswami, we all know, is a very exalted Vaishnava. He's the one of the topmost devotees in our Gaudiya Vaishnava line. We are all Rupanugas, following in the footsteps of the Rupa Goswami. And he normally stayed in the Ter Kadamba region, where there are a lot of Kadamba trees. And it seems that whenever Srila Rupa Goswami would write or describe about the union of the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, close union, at that point we see that the trees of the Kadamba tree used to blossom, it seems. And whenever he used to write about the separation of Radha and Krishna, at that time the petals of the flowers of the Kadamba tree used to fall down as if it is crying. So it is it's really it shows the devotion of Sri Rupa Goswami and the reciprocation of the Dham for his devotion. And there, at that point, when Rupa Goswami used to write a lot about the pastimes of our beloved lordships. And at one point, Sri Rupa Goswami wrote about Srimati Radharani's features, and he wrote that Srimati Radharani's braided hair, which is like very dark, and he wrote that the braided hair is kind of like a snake with a jewel at the top of the braid. And our Sanatana Goswami he's the guru of Srila Rupa Goswami, used to come and visit Rupa Goswami and see what are the writings Rupa Goswami has recently made, and used to relish all those writings, and he used to get into trance by reading them. At one point when he was reading them, he came across this simile of Srimati Radharani's hair compared to that of the snake, and he couldn't really take it. He said, how can you write the most beloved, the most cherished, most dear our Srimati Radharani how can you write his hair is to be like a snake? It is not really an appropriate simile. So Rupa Goswami begged pardon from Sanatana Goswami, and he asked, please kindly can you correct me and give me a proper simile? And then Sanatana Goswami tried to think a lot. He thought maybe the bride of Srimati Radharani is like an ocean, which also has, it's also dark at night and it has a lot of waves. It also kind of resonates the bride, but and the moon can be like the jewel. But then he again thought maybe the sky, maybe the uh, uh, maybe the sea maybe kind of like it resembles the braid of Srimati Radharani, but the moon cannot be equal to the gem. So that means the simile is half correct, but it's not fully correct. Then Sanatana Goswami then actually was thinking hard to see if there is anything else which is resembles the simile of Srimati Radharani's hair, and he was trying hard, and he was actually keep walking and walking in the groves of Braja. And at one point, he suddenly sees a Kadamba tree, and underneath there was some few charming young girls playing, and one is playing in the swing. And Sanatana Goswami is a very exalted sadhu, and whenever a woman crosses, it is just as like a stone to him. He has no reaction. But there, at that point, he was so much attracted to those young kids, and especially the one in the swing. And she was going forth and back very gracefully, and and he saw that at the back of that wonderful young girl, there was a snake which is also going back and forth to her head. And Sanatana Goswami was then tried to scream and saying that, watch out, there is a snake, there is a snake, and watch out, please be careful, like that. And then that young girl turned to Sanatana Goswami in a very graceful way, and then she smiled, and then all of a sudden the whole scene disappears. And Sanatana Goswami was totally shocked at what happened, and then he was thinking deep into him and introspecting, and again he found that what have I done? And Sri Rupa Goswami's devotion is so higher that his simile of Srimati Radharani's hair to be the snake is actually approved by Srimati Radharani herself by this pastime. And who am I? I'm a very wretched person to criticize Sri Rupa Goswami's simile. So he goes back to Srila Rupa Goswami and falls at his feet and says that, Rupa Goswami, from now on, you are my guru, and you know better than me, and you know the heart of Srimati Radharani. That's why I know Srimati Radharani revealed herself to me like that. And Srila Rupa Goswami again gets back and saying, I don't know what you're talking. You are my guru eternally, and even if I have achieved something, it's all through you. So please bless me. And he falls at his feet of Sanatana Goswami, and this goes on forever in such a way. So it's a very sweet pastime of Srimati Radharani with these gopis, with these Goswamis. Basically, these are some of the pastimes not recorded or not heard outside many times, and some of the things I heard from Maharaj lecture, so I just wanted to share. Another pastime also is where the Goswamis, Sri Rupa and Sanatan, with Srimati Radharani, there where here Rupa and Sanatan Goswami used to sit and discuss Krishna Katha from the morning, or it's not like all over the day. They used to connect, and then they used to meet, and then they used to discuss. And at one day, at one point, when they were discussing Krishna Katha, it goes on and on, that they were totally immersed. There is so much nectar in that pastimes of them, of the pastimes of Lord Krishna and Srimati Radharani, that it keeps overflowing their heart, and they actually forgot the time. They were totally, conspicuous of the time factor, and they keep on discussing about the pastimes of the Radharani and Krishna, and They even forgot to eat. And this goes on from morning almost till dusk. And at that point, Sri Lopa Goswami actually comes out of that and he thinks, oh, what I have done. Sanatana Goswami is my guru, and even though he might not show anything externally, but still I need to feed him. He is in my place, and I have to feed some prasad for him. And what I have done, I didn't give him anything. So at that point, uh, but he didn't say this outside, but he was thinking inside. And at that point, he also sees a cowherd girl standing outside, and he sees that the cowherd girl says to this Goswamis that I have seen you. My mother said that she has seen you both discussing for Krishna Katha for a long time without having any prasadam. So I got some ingredients for you to cook and offer this to the lordship and have the prasadam. And then he was saying like this to the Goswamis. But again, since they are in the heat of the Krishna Katha, again they go back. They forget about the girl standing, and again they go back to the Krishna Katha because they are mostly oblivious of all the requirements of the body. So again they go back and discuss about the Krishna Katha a lot. And at the point, the girl who is standing by again thinks to herself that okay, they won't be able to cook, and let me cook. So she goes, and then she makes the she cooks the preparation and makes the offering, and then he cooks the preparation, and then he says to them that okay, today I have made the preparation, and please offer and please have, and my mother will be looking after me because it's very dark and I need to go back. And she leaves. And once she leaves, then Sanatana Goswami suddenly comes back to his senses and says, Rupa Goswami, did you think anything about what are you thinking? He was asking. And Rupa Goswami replies that actually I'm totally absorbed in Krishna Katha, but I had one small uh, I had one deficiency. I was feeling that I'm not able to serve you enough prasad, and that was one thing which was actually pricking me from inside. Even though I'm relishing it, this has made my relishment not fully complete. So then Sanatana Goswami says that, what have you done? You have done a great blunder. Because of your desire, Srimati Radharani herself has come and prepared this meal for both of us, and she left. And this is because in their pastime, suddenly Sanatana Goswami was seeing that Srimati Radharani is missing in that pastime, and Radharani has come here to serve them personally. So then they both really understood what really happened, and this actually they will be realizing it when they're offering that whatever the girl has cooked to the lordships, and when they're having it, at that point they will actually come to this realization. So Sanatana Goswami, after having one of the morsels, he will feel that this food is not prepared from this world. It is from an external world, from the spiritual world. So that's why he will get this doubt, and he'll ask Rupa Goswami about what you're thinking. That way. So this pastime is a very interesting one, and still there is a lot in this pastime. So they will after having that, they will really feel bad that they made Srimati Radharani to come all the way and cook for them, and then they will they'll fall back down crying with tears in their eyes. They will fall down crying, unconscious, and then after that sometime they'll regain consciousness, and then again they get back and they eat a morsel of that, and again they will feel bad and they will cry for Srimati Radharani's so touching love for them. And this way this whole thing goes all the way till they finish the whole prasadam cooked by Srimati Radharani. And even after finishing the prasadam, they after in the consecutive upcoming days, they used to even break those vessels containing this prasadam, and then used to it's actually a mud pot, so they used to break the mud pot and have this mud pot every day until all the mud pots are done. So that way they were totally immersed in Srimati's pastimes and in her thoughts, and especially her grace and her love for them. So this is a very nice pastime I would like to share. And another, I would like to conclude with the pastime of Srimati Radharani with Durvasa Muni. Durvasa Muni once comes to Vrajabhumi, and as you all know, Durvasa Muni is very easily pleased and also very easily gets angry. And Durvasa Muni was hungry at that time, and he was looking for someone to cook. And when they saw Durvasa Muni, all the gopis fled except Srimati Radharani and Ananga Manjari. And so Srimati Radharani then goes to Durvasa Muni, and he asked, bows very humbly and asked how can she serve him. And Durvasa Muni says that, can you cook some prasadam for me? And so Radharani then goes back and says this to Mother Kirtida, and Kirtida is really very afraid about the whole service proposal, but still she then she allows Srimati Radharani to cook, and Radharani actually cooks a wonderful feast for Durvasa Muni, and Durvasa Muni, when he eats it, he's so pleased because it's of transcendental nature. And Durvasa Muni actually then blesses Srimati Radharani, saying that whoever eats your cooking, they will become stronger, younger, and victorious in all struggles of life. So that was the benediction given to Srimati Radharani from Durvasa Muni. Then Mother Yashoda, after hearing that, then she said that you have to cook for Krishna every day. And so Srimati Radharani used to go and cook for Krishna every day in Yashoda Mataji's kitchen. And that's how this pastime was very nice to see the cooking of Srimati Radharani's glory. So these are some of the pastimes. And then Srila Prabhupada, there is another one pastime. As I think I have said this point already, like Srila Prabhupada concluded the 1966 Radhashtami function saying that we do not fast full day on Radhashtami because Srimati Radharani does not want us to be hungry all day. If you see, her Janmashtami, we fast till the midnight of the day. So, but Radharani is like our mother, and she doesn't want us to be more, want us to fast the whole day, as mothers are very much affectionate. So, Srila Prabhupada says that since she's like our mother, she doesn't want us to fast all day. So that's why we fast till only the noon. So these are the pastimes which I heard from Guru Maharaj's lecture, and I just thought to share. And I think whatever I would have said is like kind of a black and white photo. Then I would recommend to hear them real lecture, where it will be like more like a colorful film, even a 3D film. So, so these are some pastimes which I could take from the lecture, and I could relate to this verse and Srimati Radharani's appearance coming soon. At this point, I think we are almost done with the time. Also, do you have any other questions or any other things you have? We can ask at this point.
Hare Krishna, thank you for the wonderful class. I had asked earlier that song of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur that you only read the translation. I couldn't find it. Could you say some of is it in Bengali or Sanskrit?
I don't have the verses, Mataji. I can send the verses, but it is the 9 verses glorifying Srimati Radharani. These are the translations of the first and the last one.
Right. I mean, I searched for the translations that you were saying, and I couldn't find those either.
Oh, okay. Okay. I've not gone through the verses. I can search and I can get back then for that.
Okay, thank you.
Or if anyone wants to add to the pastimes, that is also welcome. Anything interesting you have read?
Thank you, Prabhu. Very nice. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhu.
This is from Varshana Swam Maharaj.
Yes, Prabhuji. I can actually put that link of Maharaj class. It's in 2014. Maharaj ki the lecture. Yeah, it is. A lot of pastimes was there. I thought it will be apt to share some of them during this Radhashtami time.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you.
Sure. Srimad
Yeah.
Bhagavatam ki jai. Yes,
Sorry.
Mataji.
Is there a website with Maharaj's classes, or is it just on?
Yes, Mataji. It's varsanaswami.org. Basically, currently we are also putting it in the SoundCloud. You can search in SoundCloud Varsana Swami. You can get some recent lectures also. Maharaj has put some lectures on COVID, also some recent classes given, also we've been shared in the SoundCloud. So you can search that. And also there is a website called varsanaswami.org. It also has a lot of classes.
Wonderful, thank you.
Yeah. In addition to that, you can search in the ISKCON Desire Trees audio section that has even older classes too.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing because there's a lot of new people in this class. So just about Varshanaswami Maharaj. So those who went to New Vrindavan, they can see all the roads, lakes. It's all done by Varshanaswami Maharaj with his single hand. When everybody is doing book distribution, DT worship, and preaching and all those things, Varshanaswami Maharaj, out of 24 hours, 22 hours, day and night, selflessly dig the holes with the machinery and paying of the streets, making everything ready for entire Vrindavan Dham for years and years and years. But each chant is 16 rounds, and then rest of the service is that service. But you only have a very short time to read Srimad Bhagavatam. So, but in that short time, when you read Srimad Bhagavatam, the amount of realization he had it, most of the sannyasis and big leaders used to go and listen to him when he was doing his work. So that much, Varshana Swamari is the name itself is Varshana, he's blessed by Radharani, amazing personality, and then so humble, very knowledgeable, and highly realized. He speaks to birds, he speaks to animals. He's so highly elevated disciple of Srila Prabhupada. I just wanted to add a couple of words because since you mentioned Karthik Prabhu, thank you very much.
Yes, Prabhu. At this point, actually, Maharaj has many times I used to ask also, Maharaj, it's very challenging with all the timing. It's very difficult to get time for a quality reading. But he used to say, whatever time you have, read, and the rest will be compensated by Krishna. Correct. So I think that's
correct. I was one time I was with my senior godbrothers, we were discussing the same thing. People say read, that's good. So what we read is a book and letters. But the Srimad Bhagavatam is within the heart. It is Radharani has the key. She reveals. Even if you read one line with the proper mood and consciousness, to show Krishna to Radharani, I don't know, I'm just reading to show my intent that I want to understand, but I cannot understand. It is you has to reveal. And then she reveal entire Srimad Bhagavatam. That is the key. So people can read volumes, that's very nice. But before reading, what is the mood in which we read, that will set the pace. The mood is that says, I'm reading to understand, so that I want to be the recipient of your mercy to share with others. If that is the key, and Radharani use you as an instrument, and we become a pot with the holes, and she poured the water. The pot never holds the water, but it distributes to everybody. So that is the key. Then she reveals entire Srimad Bhagavatam. Even if you read one line, one sentence, even one word, with that mood, entire Srimad Bhagavatam will be revealed. This is the emblem of Varshana Swami. He used to have a short term, but big sannyasis used to read hours, used to sit and listen from him. Because he was very dear to Radharani. Thank you, Prabhu. I don't want to say any more, but I just wanted to say my gratitude for Maharaj.
He also, the book, many people may have the book Appreciating New Vrindavan Dham. So it has very beautiful pictures, but if you read the book, it's his beautiful realizations about the Dham. And also, because he's always working, it's easy to go to the New Vrindavan Dham and miss him, but if one takes the, as Karthik Chandra Prabhu has done, if one takes the time to seek him out and listen, then one hears wonderful beautiful pastimes like Karthik Chandra Prabhu was sharing that.
Many times, Mataji, I don't know where these pastimes are from also. And there will be some other our Gaudiya Vaishnava literatures, some books which may not be very prominent also. I don't know. We also don't know how Maharaj gets them and reads them. So like that. So many pastimes are very new. Good, at least hear something.
These are all from Goswami's literature, Karthik.
I think so, Prabhuji. Yes.
I heard them,
yeah. And if one goes on parikrama in Vrindavan Dham, then one hears these same things. And of course, Maharaj is the chiefly involved in sort of transplanting, as Srila Prabhupada wanted, Vrindavan Dham to New Vrindavan Dham, so that people can do parikrama there. So then one only gets parikrama by following the footsteps of the Vaishnavas. One can't just physically buy a plane ticket or drive and see the Dham. So to see New Vrindavan Dham, there's that sadhu, Parshana Swami, and then when one hears from him, then the Dham is revealed.
Yes.
Yeah, Prabhu, I had one comment on New Vrindavan. One time I was on parikrama with there's only like one other devotee and one or two other devotees on parikrama in New Vrindavan, and Varshana Maharaj took us here to his little the Radha Gopinath temple, and he has a very transcendental vision. We just saw this is another hill of West Virginia, but he has so Radha Kund has to be here, but Sham Kund has to be there, but it's not too close to this, not too close to that, and the next temple's got to be over here and there. And then he was telling me, and then the other guy asked, the other devotee asked, are we ever going to see the 7 temples? And then Marshana Maharaj replied, only if you come and help, Prabhu. If you come and help, then we will get the 7 temples. But he said my lifelong mission is to do what Srila Prabhupada told us to do in New Vrindavan. So yeah, that was a very nice pastime.
Yeah, actually the most attractive thing for me for Maharaj is his humility. He knows a lot. He is very he's a personality of different cadre, but he's very humble. And and one Radhashtami lecture is about to give, and he has a mic, and there is another devotee was sitting nearby, and then he pushed the mic other side, and he said, "You can please start giving the class." So I think it was I don't remember the devotee's name, but yeah. So Maharaj is very humble, and that humility is the gem which adorns the Vaishnavas. So Maharaj exemplifies that fact.
Well, are there any more last comments, or we can pause our reading of Bhagavatam for today, for this Sravanam Saturday? We'd like to again thank His Grace Karthik Chandra Prabhu for serving the Srimad Bhagavatam class today. It was very nice to prepare ourselves, our minds for Radhashtami. Just as a reminder, in about an hour from now, His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu will be giving a class about how to read Srila Prabhupada's books. If anybody is interested in that, I'm going to send a link out. So apparently there's more than 1,500 participants and only 1,000 places on Zoom. So if you'd like to interact with the Vaisheshika Prabhu, if you'd like to ask a question, maybe, because I heard it's an interactive seminar. If anybody would like to interact, then you might want to get on the Zoom call first. But if somebody would like to just listen, then it'll be on the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust's YouTube and Facebook page live streamed. So that starts at 10 o'clock Eastern time. So we'd like to thank everybody for joining. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyascha patitanam apavnebhyo Vaishnave namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vrinda ki jai. Karthik Chandra Prabhu ki jai.
Prabhupada ki jai, Guru Maharaj ki. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I'll see you guys later.
Prabhu. Thank you. Nice lecture.